Broadcasting live from the heart of Kuala Lumpur, we are at MABA Stadium, the home of the Westports Malaysia Dragons, where they will try to defend their home court against the league-leading Indonesia Warriors. Hello everyone, Paul Paleli alongside Ben Ibrahim and Lenora Lau on hand for this one. What promises to be an epic matchup. This is one that the Dragons really want. These two teams have met 3 times so far in 2013. And Ben, all 3 times the Dragons have lost, but this isn't the same Dragons team that the Warriors have met before, are they?
No, they have not. They've made some personnel changes. Now, few injuries to the Dragons as well. Now, Julius Armon, this is his first game against the Indonesia Warriors. He joined the team on March the 21st, and then the next day, Paul, he suited up against the Singapore Slingers. He hasn't found his rhythm yet, but he's very fired up before this game, and we spoke to him during the week, and he said, this is the game that I'm going to dominate. Big words, fighting words.
And Coach Ariel Van Guardia had also mentioned that he really wants to beat teams like the Bierman, the teams like the Warriors, because these are the teams that are ahead of him in the standings. Now, both these teams had last played the Sportsrev, the newly named Sportsrev Thailand Slammers, and we'll go back to 9 days ago where the Dragons visited Nimibut Stadium in Bangkok. And that was a close one, Ben. You were on hand to call that one.
Yeah, I was on hand to call this one, and this was the Chris Charles show. Paul, Chris Charles was just all over it. Look at him here, throws it down, and uncontested, and he was also making shots. The Dragons had real struggles here, and they weren't hitting shots at all, Paul. And Gavin Edwards was keeping them in the game with 15 points. But yeah, like look at Gavin Edwards there swiping. That's why he's the 3rd best blocker in the league, averaging 3 blocks per game. Marcus Hubbard was sick during this game. He had food poisoning. And don't let that shot fool you, Paul, because the Dragons, they had big problems executing in the paint.
Mo Tautua, the high scorer for the Dragons. There we see Gavin Edwards with 15 points to finish that game, and a rough elbow there. Rarely you see Gavin Edwards with a play like that, but that shows you the frustration of the Dragons that night.
Well, they were very frustrated that night, but Mo Tautua kept them in the game. He scored 23 points in this game, and he was quite solid defensively as well. But Charles, look at that, Paul. He can throw it from downtown. This man, nothing can stop this guy. And Dasum was also getting into it. So the Thailand Slammers, the Sportsrev Thailand Slammers, they've just had a name change. They deserve this victory.
And it was although a tough loss for the Dragons, they still come into this one having won 6 out of their last 9 games. Now, really, their only Achilles heel is the Indonesia Warriors, the only team they haven't beaten all season.
Yes, now, Coach Ariel Van Guardia and his coaching staff, Coach Caesar, Coach Shogi, have circled this game about 5-6 weeks back and said, look, this is the game that we want to win because we potentially can meet the Indonesia Warriors in the playoffs, in the semi-final, and they really believe that they can beat the Indonesia Warriors today and in the playoffs.
And there we have a look at the standings. Currently, the Indonesia Warriors lead it at 12-3. 2 games behind are the San Miguel Bierman, just chasing them on a streak of their own. And right there are the Westports Malaysia Dragons, 1 game above 500. And really, Ben, the rest of the team is just playing catch-up for that 4th and final playoff spot.
They're going to catch up, but Lynn has some more gossip for us, so over to you, Lynn.
Thanks, guys. Adding more salt into the wound. The Indonesia Warriors were the very first team to beat the KL Dragons on home ground, so it's revenge on the court. Coach Ariel has said their strategy is on holding the ball on their possession to avoid those turnovers. As for Coach Purvis on the Warriors, they're going to be working on the correct play for their offensive sets and being unselfish with the ball so they can make those shots. Spoke with Marcus earlier, and he said his mission is to watch out for Daniels, because if he can slow down and break down Daniels' rhythm, they could win the game. Stay with us. It's going to be a very close game. This is the ABL on Fox.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us. Paul Paleli alongside Ben Ibrahim and Lenore Lau for ABL Friday Basketball here tonight at MABA Stadium. The Westports Malaysia Dragons take on the Indonesia Warriors. As we said earlier, we touched on matchups a little bit. And you know what really excites me tonight, Ben, is the actual matchups on the court. Starting off tonight, we have a great head-to-head.
That's right. Well, we've got Steve Demon Thomas averaging 12 points per game, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, and he's taking on Marcus Hubbard, who hasn't been at his best because of that food poisoning incident against the Sports Rev Thailand Slammers, but he's fired up. He averages 40%, his field goal that is. And don't forget, Marcus Hubbard, he is ranked number 3 in the highest amount of steals per game, 2.4 steals, so we can expect a great defensive show, Paul.
Also, the matchup in the middle, look out for Gavin Edwards. With the arrival of Marcus Hubbard, that has pushed Gavin Edwards into his more natural position at power forward, and since then, he had really blossomed.
Oh, he's really blossomed. His average field goal percentage, Paul, is 48%. Earlier in the season, it was a bit lower, but this guy, Gavin Edwards, not the noisiest guy on and off the court, but he's really come into it. He showed some leadership skills. He can play two-way basketball offensively and defensively, and as we saw in the highlights against the Thailand Slammers, he played a great defensive game. He keeps the game, well, he keeps the Dragons in the game when they're not playing that well.
One of the X factors for the Dragons is Moala Tautua, who was the high scorer for them against the Slammers in that loss. He had 23 points. But I believe that's going to be the tough matchup for Indonesia, where they have either Daniels to cover Edwards or Tautua, or they might have to bring Richard Smith in to cover. And Mo's a hard cover for anyone.
Yeah, but Richard Smith, he's not there to do all the glamour work. He's there to work the boards, play that real big hustler in the paint. Don't forget, the Indonesia Warriors, their tactics is to play a bigs in the paint.
Let's have a look at the starting lineups. First for the Indonesia Warriors in the backcourt, that should be Mario Wusang and John Smith. And that would shift Chris Daniels alongside Ronaldo Sintepu in the front court with Donnie Ristanto. So I believe it looks like Steve Thomas may not be starting and might be coming off the bench for this one for the Warriors.
Well, that's a good thing if you ask me, Paul, because yeah, they can save their tickets because Indonesia brought 10 players down. So yeah, I mean, it is a tactic that could work for the better for Indonesia.
And for Malaysia, obviously look for a bigger game come from Marcus Hubbard. We saw this guy at Hoops Fest warming up. I saw him throw down some dunks. I couldn't believe how high this guy could get. But not really, having to adjust to his new team. He hasn't been completely consistent yet up to this point.
No, very good point, Paul. One thing that he does work on in training quite a bit, even though he's a big defensive guy, he works on his free throws. And as we can see there, Justin Melton, yeah, he's going to be calling all the shots. Moala Tautua, Gavin Edwards, yep, they're the big men. Setya Silan Kukusami, he hardly plays any minutes during the season, but with the injuries of Loshi Fai, Patrick Bahag, team captain Gugunaswaran Bachumalai, Coach Ariel has no choice but to bring in the veteran.
So there you will see Sealand alongside with Melton in the backcourt, and the remainder of those guys will be in the front court, of course. Now, the next matchup I was going to mention was at the guard position. With Guga injured after suffering a gash to his forehead against the Slammers, that makes Melton's task that much more difficult. Mouse has to handle 3 different guards in an Indonesian rotation between John Smith, Mario Wusang, and Jared Kanyada coming off the bench. That could, and really at any point, those 3 guards, any 2 could give you a good game.
That's right, Paul. But one thing that the Dragons have worked on in their training over the last couple of weeks is to really guard the screens and also defend in the high post. If they can look after those 2 positions within the perimeter, then defense should look after itself. Because don't forget, the Dragons traditionally are not a very strong defensive team, but they're trying to work on that this season, especially at the business end.
Three-point shooting was definitely a strength for the Dragons. It has been all season long, but with Guga and Loshi Fai, their 2 highest percentage three-point shooters out for this one, that might be a bit of a challenge tonight.
That's going to be a problem, but one thing that the management team of the Dragons have told these guys, close them down. Don't give John Smith, don't give Mario Wusong, don't give Satepu chances to shoot the trays.
We will now pause for the Indonesian and Malaysian national anthem. Negaraku, the national anthem for Malaysia, and Indonesia Raya being played for both sides as they shake it up at center court. And let's pick up where we left off, Ben. We were talking a little bit about matchups. Now, who's got to step up from the Dragons to really fill in that perimeter shooting spot?
Well, Set Yasilan Kupusami, Isran Kamarudin, a guy who has not played much minutes during the season. Sometimes he doesn't even make the 12-man squad of the game. So really lack of depth of shooters here. So those guys have to step up. Justin Melton, he's got to be consistent with his shooting as well. And don't forget, Gavin Edwards sometimes also can make shots, especially from downtown.
And hopefully for the Dragons, Julius Armand will have a better game this time out. He hasn't fit in completely in the system as well. Also new to the Dragons, brought in to replace the injured Pat Kabaha. So, you know, with Julius Armand, a young man who's been brought in, has some big shoes to fill there.
Yeah, 23 years of age. He used to play for the San Beda Red Lions, a college team in the Philippines. He's originally from New Orleans, but he's grown up in California. Now, watch this guy today, Paul. He's really a very talented athlete, a great talent to watch. 6'3", quick, really two-footed, and he can really move inside the court, outside the court. He's very, very quick, and that's why they hired him to beat the man, especially in the paint.
All right, as we get set to tip things off, we will make a correction. It will be Steve Thomas starting the game for Indonesia. It will not be Donnie Ristanto. So Thomas Atepu, Wusang, and Daniels, and John Smith Jr. will be the starting five for the Warriors, facing off against Melton, Sealan, Edwards, Tautua, and Hubbard. A full stadium here at MABA, and we are underway. The Indonesia Warriors will have it on the first possession. Indonesia, well known for their half-court offense and three-point shooting. It'll be Mario Wusang takes the first shot of the game. That rims out. The rebound is tapped out of bounds.
Boxing out will be very crucial here for the Dragons, Paul. That's something that they've worked on as well, especially against a team that has out-rebounded them almost every game. So that's something that the Dragons have to do well if they're going to defeat the defending champions.
Yes, the Warriors have Thomas and Daniels, third and fifth respectively in the league in rebounds. So a lot to tangle with there inside. Sealan misses his first shot of the game. Daniels brings it back up. John Smith, he's got Melton on him. It's a screen from Daniels. Outside to Wusang with the pump fake. No good on his second try. And quickly gets it to Melton. Here come the Dragons. Kick out to Tautua. Hubbard completely open. Puts it on the floor against Thomas, but slips, and he has trouble getting up. Slow to get back. The Warriors have numbers. John Smith, way off the mark. That goes out of bounds, back to the Dragons.
Marcus Hubbard looks like he's in trouble here, Paul. Slippery. Now, we had this problem on the 29th of March when the Dragons played the Saigon Heat. A lot of the Saigon Heat players, as well as Justin Melton from the Dragons, were coming on and just wiping the sweat off the floor. So Marcus Hubbard, that night he had foul trouble as well. Don't forget, if he's injured, the Dragons have to call up Chidi Wei, who's a part-time player with the Dragons, and he lacks the fitness and technical skill, to be very frank and honest, to muscle it up with the likes of Daniels and Thomas.
Well, especially in this point of the season, Ben. I mean, we were heading into the playoffs. The trade deadline had just passed, so really all teams have decided to stick with the lineups that they have, the roster that they have, as Tautua takes it to the hole. And finally, it's the Dragons who are first to draw blood. It's 2-0 for Malaysia.
He just drove to the basket. He just said, I see the open space. And one thing that the management team of the Dragons says, play the game, pace and space. If you see the open space, take it.
Tepu for Indonesia, outside to Wusang. Tries to lob it inside to nobody. Nobody home, that is. Either to Daniels or Thomas. There was a miscommunication on the pass. So Indonesia off to a sloppy start here, as the crowd is still filling in at MABA.
I do agree with you. A bit of a sloppy start by Indonesia, but I never write Indonesia off, Paul. They've got some great shooters on this team, and they know how to defend as well. Like you said earlier, third and fifth best rebounders respectively to Thomas and Daniels. But they've got, once the Dragons get a little bit careless, which they have a tendency to do, they can give the shooters like John Smith, Mario Wusong, and even Sitepu some open space, and they can hit it from the deep corner.
See them back rims it off the inbound. Goes back to Indonesia. So 2 minutes gone in the first quarter. It is a 2-0 lead for the Dragons. Mario Wusong has shot spectacularly, to say the least, in the last 5 games for the Warriors. Almost loses it. Wusong over to Sitepu. Outside shot is good.
What did I say about Sitepu? He can hit shots too. Big men can hit shots, and Indonesia have the big men to hit the shots. Good shot, Sitepu.
Tautua tries to answer back on the other end. The shot is long. The rebound goes to Melton. Dragons will have a second crack at it. Melton to Hubbard. Hubbard pass is cut off by Thomas. Warriors. And Daniels opts to wait for the remainder of his team. John Smith. Back to Daniels. Hands off to Smith. There's a mismatch. Smith takes the shot and hits it.
I must have spoken way too early because the shooters of the Indonesia Warriors are really bringing it down. It's early days yet, but the Dragons have to close them down.
The Dragons right now letting the Indonesia Warriors have some light from the outside. The Warriors hitting their shots. Edwards misses the long 2 from the left side. It will remain Malaysia possession. They'll re-inbound that pass as Daniels was quick to cut that off. Daniels does a lot of things that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Melton settles in. A great dribble control by Melton over to Tautua. And the shot is off the mark. Thomas had something to do with that. Edwards has to put it up, and it's good.
One thing that the Dragons have worked on is really power drive to the basketball and like look for that space to kick out. Look at this. Oh, hustle. A bit too aggressive if you ask me, but I think the management of the Dragons will like that because it's aggressive, and that's something that they're trying to bring to that game, should I say, is aggressive defense.
Good dribble penetration by John Smith and dishing off to Chris Daniels along the baseline. As you can see, they're working furiously to dry the court to prevent any more slippage. As you said, you know, a lot of this has to do with condensation as well before the game. It is a very hot day today, so they're going to have to be extra careful inside the key. That's going to affect the game on the inside as well. The big guys are going to be a little bit more careful. Guys driving to the basket are going to have to watch their step as they land. So, you know, look for this game to turn into more of a shootout if this continues to happen.
Very much so, but well, I do want to say something that also to our fans out there, watch how the Dragons are going to try to stay low and close out and really put that elbow on the Indonesia Warriors in terms of playing defense. Because one thing that the Dragons have been criticized when they're in legal guarding position sometimes because they don't want to draw the foul, they just let the player float by them and get the basket. And they try to play the referee as well, but referee Real, he's always said, well, that's legal, so if it's legal, it's okay. Open space, Hubbard.
Hubbard hits the nice little floater. And Malaysia ties it up at 6. Under 6 minutes remaining in the first. Steve Thomas banging his way inside. Leaves it short. Hubbard with a strong rebound. Melton bringing it back the other way. Melton goes around Wusong. Gets tangled up with Thomas, and Sitepu comes up with the loose ball. Ronaldo Sitepu, one of Indonesia Warriors' local players. One of their brighter local players this year, as John Smith almost gets his pocket picked by Melton. It will remain Indonesia possession with 12 seconds remaining on the shot clock.
I must give credit to the Indonesia Warriors, Paul. One thing that they do very well in this league, and they're a shining example of it, they're very quick in transition. They're not slow out of the blocks. Once the ball is being boxed out, they just get straight down and really set up the defensive perimeter and go into the defensive zone. And that's something that guys like Justin Melton have to be very wary of because he's a quick player. As we saw earlier, he turned the ball over because not only was he too quick, but Indonesia was organized.
Speaking of quick players, One is checking in right now, Jerry Cañada. He will be matched up against Melton. This is the matchup that I'm looking for. Love to see quick guys play, and these are two of the faster guys in our league.
Battle of the flashes.
Right. Satepu inbounds to Smith. As play resumes, Smith puts it up. Wow, an off-balance shot, and the left-hander, he knocks it down to take a 3-point lead. Julius Armand. Talked about him earlier in the game. And there we see a call away from the play.
Looked like a bit of a slip there. Nothing intentional. I think the boys with the mops are going to have a big job tonight.
As we say that, the Warriors will try to continue their winning streak. They have won 5 games coming into this one, and they are winners of 12 out of their last 13. So if you've won that many times, I mean, it's got to become a habit. But you know, talking to Coach Todd Purvis, he takes every game 1 game at a time.
It's a good approach, because one thing that Coach Purvis has always said, and I've spoken to him whenever it comes to Malaysia, if anybody is complacent, I'll show them one thing and one thing only, and that's the door. So, tough coach, that's what you call tough love.
Trying to bring his team back to the finals and win a 2nd championship. He was winner of Coach of the Year in the ABL last year. Play resumes now with under 5 minutes to go in the first, and John Ung hits his first shot from the outside.
And John Ung will be very fired up with that. Don't forget, he's just recovering from a stomach ulcer operation, so he hasn't played much minutes. He even was a doubt on Thursday night for training.
Daniels, nice dish outside to Satepu. Satepu cannot take advantage. Daniels gets the offensive rebound, and that's the kind of stuff that's very difficult to guard from Chris Daniels. The whistle is blown on the floor.
Chris Daniels, you have to be almost like glued to him when you box out. He's just so big, so athletic, and he just knows, he's got the technique on how to do it.
We will break away for a moment, but this is ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. The Warriors and the Dragons right here at MABA Stadium. Don't go anywhere. Back here at MABA Stadium. If you're just joining us, the Indonesia Warriors visiting the Westports Malaysia Dragons, and the visiting side leading it by 2 here early in the game. And the Dragons will have it back with 4.5 remaining in the first. It's Justin Melton, Julius Armand, Edwards, Ung, and Tautua for the Dragons, and they almost turn it over. Actually, they do turn it over. The Warriors going the other way quickly. John Smith with the easy left-handed layup.
John Smith is having a good quarter at the moment. He scored 11 points against Thailand just a couple of nights ago, showing no signs of fatigue. Justin Melton tries to do it himself.
Wow, and almost did.
He almost did, but you gotta admire Justin Melton for his courage to just drive to the basket. You just gotta look at this Indonesia team. You got Satepu, you got Thomas, you got Daniels. Not just big guys, Paul, but guys who really know how to defend.
Melton fearlessly taking it in amongst the trees from the Indonesia Warriors side. but he's got the athleticism to do it.
Strong Indonesian support here in MABA, Paul.
It's a full crowd here. Melton hearing it from some of the visiting supporters as he misses both free throws. Anyada handling the point. Daniels cuts to the basket. Thomas has it up high. Feeds it inside to Daniels. Daniels, double coverage outside to Kanyada. He's been shooting wetter from out there lately, and there he's proven it again by knocking one down.
Dragons got to tighten up on the shooters. Kanyada is not the most consistent shooter, but if you give him space, he's got the confidence.
Melton cannot answer back. Too strong on the three. Daniels loses it at midcourt, but John Smith picks it up. The no-look pass into the opposite corner. Kanyada misses the three. Melton pushing it up the court. Armand into a bunch of Warrior players. No whistle is called. There was some contact, but play continues, and Kanyada slows it down. Thomas has it up high. Pick and roll. Smith gets it on the left side, and he slips. Thought about the shot, and there again is the effect of the wet spot on the floor, and John Smith misses his third attempt from the outside. All players hitting the deck inside the key, and slippage continues to be a problem here in MABA.
Not just the slippage for the Dragons, Paul. The Dragons will be very frustrated with this scoreline because this was not part of the game plan. They spoke about it countless times in training, about closing down their shooters. Even had video sessions about it over and over again, but I think they're just really desperate to get some points, and guys like Armand and Justin Melton just really driving hard to the basket. The one thing they worked on in training this week, drive hard to the basket and then kick out. Look for that pace and space. Not quite going to game plan at the moment, but early days yet.
Still very early on. Both teams in a low scoring mode at the moment. That could be due to several stoppages here in the first quarter. However, Malaysia will have it back on their own end. And this is Bansun Hui. Over to Armand. Backing down Wusong. Kicks out. Edwards has it at the... Oh, beautiful pass inside to Hubbard from Edwards. And we've seen that several times since the arrival of Hubbard. Edwards has been able to find an open Hubbard along the baseline.
Well, that's also the game plan of the Dragons, as we can see there, to get it to the bigs in the paint. Look for that pace, look for that space, and Hubbard had the space, but Hubbard is now at the free throw line, and he wasn't so confident against Thailand, even though he was sick, but he's been working on this part of his game all season long.
Although he misses that first free throw, he manages to draw a first foul on Steve Thomas. That will be important as we see Richard Smith getting ready to check into the game. Now, as we spoke earlier of Kanyada's outside shooting, earlier on in the season, he was somewhere around 17, 18%. Over the last several games, he has been able to help out his team by improving his outside shooting, making himself an outside threat as well, along with Wusong and Smith. So now that three-guard rotation really works. He's shooting 25% now, a little bit better than before. So really, this three-guard rotation is something difficult to contend with around the ABL.
Well said. It is really hard, and especially today, the Dragons don't really have the personnel to really call upon, to really guard these shooters. Because if you just give them a little bit of an inch, Paul, they'll punish you.
We have a look at Tautua and Seelan, the Dragons bench. Coach Van Guardia rotating his players. He's going to have to rotate them a little more than usual, seeing as he has a shortened roster for this one. As we continue to deal with the moisture on the court. I mean, this is really important also because, especially for the Dragons, with already a light roster, you don't want to have anybody go down to injury of any sort just because of a little moisture.
Exactly. That's one thing the Dragons, they have to do better, Paul. they've learned this from the Saigon game on the 29th of March, is foul trouble. Marcus Hubbard was fouled out in that game. So yeah, struggling. I'm going to watch that.
Oh, too strong on his second as well. Misses both at the line. So the Dragons are stuck at 9 for the past several while now. And this is Cañada. He's got Wee on him. Nice one-touch pass from Thomas. Daniels misses the easy layup.
What a shame that didn't go in. What an awesome build-up play. Armand drives to the hole. No basket. Indonesia tight on defense.
2 easy misses, 1 on each end. Wusang now tries to feed Daniels, and a wild pass goes out of bounds back to Malaysia.
What did I say about transition ball for Indonesia? They just get back down there and really set up that wall so that no Dragon can get through it. They are definitely the benchmark of that in this league.
These two teams last met during Hoops Fest weekend at Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Warriors coming away with an 84-67 win there with a big third quarter as Gavin Edwards tries to take it hard against Daniels and Smith and loses the handle. So right now the Warriors shutting down the inside. Wusang to Cañada. Bounces it inside to Daniels. Daniels over to Smith with a quick shot. Misses it left and out of bounds. Hubbard tips it, so it will remain Warrior possession with a fresh shot clock. Sutepu inbound. Wusang tries a 3 and airballs it. A rare airball, but it's picked up by Daniels, who gets fouled on the attempted putback.
Just notice that for how much space did Mario Wusang have? He was just open, an invitation to shoot the 3-pointer. Dragons gotta go into the defensive zone and do that a lot better. This is one team that you don't want to give opportunity.
Especially when Mario Wusang misses an open 3 like that and allowing Daniels to have an easy offensive rebound. That's got to drive Coach Vanguardia nuts.
Well, Coach Vanguardia has been quite quiet this game. Usually he's very vocal. Everybody always tells him he never needs a megaphone.
Daniels 1 for 2 from the line. It's 17-9. The Warriors have slowly built into an 8-point lead with under 1.5 remaining in the first quarter. Edwards trapped in the corner. Tautua bangs against Smith and gets the left-hander to go down. And that's the X-Factor matchup I was talking about earlier. Tautua, a tough guard for Richard Smith or Sutepu. There's Wusang again, looking for Daniels. He gets it back to Cañada. Got Smith on the help out. Under 10 seconds on the shot clock. Broken play, and Smith will have to put it up. Don't know if that was supposed to be a drive and a dish off, but you know, with the shot clock winding down, he should just put up the open shot. He was completely open.
Richard Smith, not very good move there. Quick thinking on your feet. Just hoist it. Just hoist it. Just put it up. Just do something. You know, you've got time and space.
Malaysia with a chance to cut the lead further. It's a 6-point deficit for them. With about half a minute to go, and the pass from Wee is too long for Tautua. So the Dragons also squandering their opportunities on the offensive end. We'll have to take a look after the first quarter at the turnover numbers. I mean, they've got to be pretty high on both sides right now.
Very much so.
Jared Cañada gets a screen from Smith. Right side to Wusang. Tepu finds Smith inside. Again, shot clock winding down. Smith puts it up. Daniels on the second attempt on the putback gets it to go. The lead is back up to 8 and time is winding out. Melton puts it up, misses the 3. Tautua misses the putback, so that will do it for the first quarter. 19-11, a low-scoring first quarter between these two sides. The Indonesia Warriors lead the Dragons by 8 here at MABA on ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. Don't go anywhere. We've got second quarter action for you right after this. You're watching tonight's broadcast of ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. Paul Palelli alongside Ben Ibrahim and Lenora Lau for this one. We are at MABA, home of the Westports Malaysia Dragons. The Dragons are down by 8 after Indonesia Warriors.
Well, very disappointing start for the Dragons and a very impressive start for the Indonesia Warriors. I say impressive, Paul, because Indonesia, they're not even in second gear yet, and they have an 8-point lead, playing a very, very good defensive wall, really closing out and staying low in the defense. And yes, not giving the Dragons that space to get in and really score points. And that's frustrating the Dragons at the moment. So they've got to change their game plan and stick to the basics of their training, drive hard to the basket, and kick out.
Otherwise, when the players leak and you still attack it, it's very dangerous to both players.
Whatever you guys think, man.
Unless that is the fast break, then that is a different thing.
Whatever you guys think, man.
You were listening in on the huddle between the official, the ABL commissioner, and both head coaches. I believe they're addressing the moisture situation on the floor, so they're advising both coaches not to run too hard, not to go too hard at each other. Very difficult in a competitive game. However, he's warning against certain things like a long lead pass that could cause somebody to fall on a break. And play resumes now. We're underway in the second quarter. And the Dragons will have the first shot of the second quarter. And Sealand makes good from outside.
They needed that. They needed that big time to stay in this game. Excellent shot by Setya Sealand Kukusami, the veteran who turns 35 this year. And now Indonesia, Kenyatta. Richard Smith bounce by Thomas. Back, open space for the two. Gets the deuce. Well done, Richard Smith.
And Smith making the Dragons pay for leaving him open for so long. And both sides having a lot of turnovers there in the first 7 and 8. 7 for the Warriors, 8 for the Dragons. So that number's got to come down a little bit once both teams settle down. Hubbard takes it along the baseline, and when the big guy gets that close, it's good for 2. Smith lets it fly from outside. Thomas gets tangled up with Tautua for the rebound. I believe it will go against Moala Tautua.
Fair call by the referee there, Paul. That was an infringement on Moala Tautua. I'm sure he'll feel otherwise, but it's a tough job that the referees do, and they are doing a good job. Getting better and better.
Especially this stage of the season, all the teams are getting that much more competitive, fighting for playoff position. So, every little call now starting to count more and more. John Smith inbounding to the other Smith, no relation, as Richard Smith puts it up again. No good that time. Rebound by Gavin Edwards. Melton to Tautua. Tautua will take it against Smith. Nice move by Tautua. The up and under misses it, but Hubbard is there for the putback.
That's something that Dragons might have to change and make that more consistent. Someone's going to go for the 2. Make sure you rush in and try to get the putback at a tip-in, because Warriors can really, really box out. Look at this open space from the deep corner for the 3.
Amin Priantono misses from the right side. Thomas with another offensive rebound, and Gavin Edwards is going to be called for the foul on that block. And now you see Coach Vanguardia speaking up a little bit. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look at that again, Paul. That was a close one to call. I must say, tough one. Let's look at it here. He goes for the 3, and then they box out. Didn't look like there was a push there.
There's the bump. I believe he was called for the bump. It was a clean block, but he got bumped right before he went up. However, if that's the case, though, it wouldn't be a shooting foul. So Edwards has a bit of a right to beef about it a little bit. No call goes unargued here in the ABL or any other basketball league for that matter. Steve Thomas steps up to the line. Thomas just 56% from the charity stripe as he misses the front end. And we have a report from our own Lenora Lim.
spoke to the commissioner, and he said as long as one player slips on the floor, they will stop the game and call for a timeout and clean the floor, except when a fast break happens. This is to protect all the players, just in case if you're wondering what they were talking about in that huddle. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lynn. So, you know, an important issue to be addressed, as now we see John Smith hit the deck on that last play. A little shaken up. Coach Vanguardia taking a moment to pull in his troops to discuss what just happened on the other end. Let's have a look at I believe that was just a slip as well. You know, we're seeing a lot of this tonight, Ben, and the players right now, what do you do when you're on the court? You just got to adjust. That's all you have to do. That's the only choice you have.
You've got to adjust, but like the commissioner was telling both coaches, yeah, don't play the long baseball pass, don't play those really tricky plays. But like you said, but what do you do? I mean, they want to win this game, so they're going to go to what they know, and that's sometimes a little bit more fancy and unpredictable. But they might have to pay for it injury-wise, but let's hope not.
They will take John Smith out as he continues to hold on to that right arm. He is a left-handed shooter, but regardless, it will be Indonesia ball with 12 seconds remaining on the shot clock. 8 minutes to go here in the second. As Steve Thomas catches it, back to Priantono. Amin, the shot fake to the Smith. Inside to Thomas. Thomas rolls around Tautua and puts it off the glass. Melton quickly down the other way, and he gets fouled on the other end. So Warriors getting a bit of a taste of their own medicine, not getting back in transition defensively.
Well, maybe I praised them a bit too quickly tonight about how quick they are in transition. But Justin Melton, he's really got to make these shots. He's quite a good shooter. His average field goal percentage is 40% this season. And look at that glide to the basket. But that's a fair call by the referees. That's a clean foul.
Justin Melton really has a pair of springs on him. I remember seeing I wasn't here live, but I remember seeing his first dunk here at home at MABA, a reverse slam on a fast break. I remember thinking, wow, that guy can jump.
Brings the house down, and he looks very frustrated here, Paul. Just going to slow it down. He's just a bit worried.
We've got another report from Renora Lau. Lynn, take it away.
Just went over to the bench and asked on John Smith. Nothing to worry about. It's just a minor little slip. They were just icing it, but he'll be back in the game. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lynn. So the missed free throw by Melton. So the Dragons are having all sorts of problems from the charity stripe. Wusong saves it from going out of bounds. Thomas facing up on Edwards. A skip pass to Priantono for three. Knocking it down from the right side is Amin Priantono.
Much time, too much space.
And a miscommunication between Hubbard and Tautua as Hubbard tried to get the ball inside. And they turn it over. It's an 8-point lead for the Indonesia Warriors, still at 8 points. So both sides still struggling a little bit offensively. They're not in the flow of things as they usually are. Thomas, kick out. Priantono. Shot fake, puts it up, and back-to-back threes by Amin Priantono has made this a double-digit lead for Indonesia.
Dragons really need to stay composed. Just get a simple two now. They'll be frustrated defensively and offensively.
And Sealand answers back, and that will be back-to-back threes for him as well. So now the three-point shooting, as you predicted, somebody has to pick it up for the Malaysian side. And right now, it's Kubusami Sitya Sealand.
Look at that open space by Thomas. He could have got that ball. Rebound, fast break here. Here come the Dragons. Melton. He's got Sealand.
Wow.
The deuce.
Just like that, it is cut down to a 5-point lead.
Todd Purvis going absolutely animal-like on the sideline. He said, that's a foul. But he probably had a fair call.
Nola pass by Thomas. The big man getting better and better, passing out of the post as he finds a streaking Jared Cañada cutting his way to the basket. stretching the lead back out to 7. And once again, we have to take care of a wet spot on the floor. So the Dragons now, took them a little while, the first quarter, but seeming to find their shooting touch.
Same problem against Thailand just about 9 days back, Paul. They really just struggled to make the shots. They did everything right. The offensive sets, the build-up play was fantastic. But when they got to the low post in the paint, it was just traffic. But let's give credit to Thailand in that game and Indonesia in this game. Defense was quite good.
Last year's Defensive Player of the Year, Steve Thomas, is who they have to contend with. Marcus Hubbard, unable to get a shot off. And every time you see a player even just fall to the floor softly, they will have to tend to those spots, especially in and around the painted area. See a lot of anxious Malaysian fans here, pushing for the Dragons to cut the lead before halftime. You know how important that is. Going into halftime, you really want to get that lead down as much as possible, or even take the lead. There's still 5.5 minutes left. Coach Van Guardia there, heading back to the commissioner. Well, Coach Van Guardia spoke a little bit, we read about it on the website as well, that he really wants this win. This is the only team that he hasn't beaten yet. So we've got more second quarter action on ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports right after this. You're still with us at ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. The Warriors and the Dragons are battling it out here midway through the second quarter. And play resumes. The Dragons with the possession on the offensive end. Melton. Corner shot to beat the shot clock. Hubbard had to put it up. And that's going to go back to the Warriors. Now, you know, we mentioned earlier about how there was a huddle between both head coaches and the commissioner, advising both coaches on the tempo of the game. However, that is the game commissioner advising both teams due to safety. The ABL would not advise any team in its league on how to play or what kind of pace to play their game, but the game, if you're watching at home, you're probably seeing some of the fans, you know, a lot of the fans in the stands fanning themselves. There is a lot of heat and moisture in here, which is causing a situation on the court. So let's hope that clears up real soon. Indonesia miss leads to a rebound by Hubbard. Here comes Arman. And the layup rolls right off the rim.
They can't get a basket at the moment, Paul. They're doing everything right. All the build-up play, setting it up, driving it through. Just that last part. 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Thomas slips through. Kenyatta tries to save it. But it will be now Dragons ball. We will just try to slow the game down. Over 4.5 minutes to go. And I think right now they just need to get some simple points. Don't try to go for the three. Don't try to go for a downtown. Just get in the post. Get into the bigs in the post. That's something they've been working on as well. And get 2 points.
I think something's got to be said for how difficult it is to get into a flow of a game, as we see Armand slip and hit the deck. He's called for a travel, and something's got to be said about how both teams are out of sync right now. There's a lot of stoppages. There's a lot of timeouts called on the floor for cleanups, and that's got we play basketball. You know what it's like to be taken out of your game. You've got to keep flowing with the game, and right now we are halfway through the second, and it is a low-scoring one, 31-24 for the Warriors so far.
Well, that's a very good point, Paul. This is something that you can't prepare for. You can prepare for shooting, defending, blocks, offensive sets, but how do you play a stop-and-start game? How do you prepare for that? Definitely, this will be something that all players will be putting into the experience memory bank.
And the Warriors have it back. 4:20 remains in the second. Cañada. He's got Melton on him. Baseline, Wusang. Inside to Thomas. Thomas deep inside. And dishes off to Daniels. Daniels fumbles it. Back to the Dragons it goes. Melton. Inside to Edwards. A reach-in by Ronaldo Setepu, trying to tip it away, and he will be called for the foul.
John Ng coming in for Seelan Kukusami. Don't forget, Seelan is not the fittest guy. Age is catching up with him. And he's had a lot of injuries, especially with his Achilles this season, so that's something they have to manage as well.
Armand, up top, takes it himself. Misses it, Daniels gobbles up the rebound. Gets it up to Cañada. Cañada, Armand all over him. Finally backs away. Cañada along the baseline, kicks out to Thomas. 5 on the shot clock. Daniels puts it up, and it's good along the baseline for Daniels.
Good shot by Daniels. Really used his height. He saw the mismatch and said, yep, I'll take one.
With the shot clock winding down like that, the Dragons really have to close out on the Warriors. Here's Hubbard now, having trouble inside, kicks out to misses the long ball. Rebound again to Daniels. And now the Warriors are pushing the tempo. A 3 in transition is good for Mario Wusang. Outstanding shooting from the Indonesian guard. Has knocked down 21 three-pointers in the last 5 wins coming into this one. And let's go now again to Lenore Lau. Lynn?
Just want to clear something up, guys. There seems to be a miscommunication earlier, and the ABL just wants the audience to know they would never tell the teams to not give their best. They should and must play their best game at all times. But it is correct, if a player slips, they will call for a timeout. Now, just now, onto the game, I spoke with John Ng from the Dragons. They were saying since the floor is wet, the Dragons' strategy is to try and steal the ball in the post area, then kick it out to the sides. In, out, and score. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lynn. There we have a peek at the Warrior huddle. So as we mentioned earlier, obviously there are going to be adjustments made on both sides. They're not going to be able to go with their original game plan. And right now, it's going to go down to experience and adjustment, how well they're able to play out in this situation.
Well, one thing that the Warriors are doing really well, Paul, is playing around the perimeter. Really get it down there, look for the space outside the perimeter and take the shot. Because they have the shooters to do it. One thing that the Dragons have to combat that, they've got to be quick. And I think now is the time that they've got to go really, really aggressive man-to-man defense. They have been doing that, but not doing such a good job. So now is the time to step up and close out and hold on to that ball. Bansin Oi, can't let that slip.
John Ng over to Edwards, puts it up with 3 on the shot clock, and the rainbow jumper goes down. A nice looking shot by Edwards to cut the lead back down to single digits. John Smith is back out on the floor for the Warriors. Gets it inside to Thomas. Thomas skating his way in. Remains Indonesia ball. Setepu misses the corner 3. Fighting for the rebound is Melton, Tautua, and Daniels. That will go out of bounds against Daniels. I apologize, I believe he's called for the foul, a loose ball foul against Daniels.
That looked like, I have to agree with the Warriors there. It looked at one point that it was a clean, well, it belonged to Indonesia ball.
2:11 remain in the first half. 9-point lead by the Warriors. They've led it by around that. A really bad miss for Wee. Missing it to the left and short. Uncharacteristic of him. But, you know, now it's come to a point where is there moisture on the ball as well? Because some of these guys are losing their handle on it. Some shots are missing quite badly. As Huisong puts it up. Misses it. Tapped by Daniels. Tries to get it over to Thomas. But instead, he taps it off Thomas and out of bounds.
Well, Paul, Dragons trying to get the composure back, and if they can, like, maybe score a few more points and just keep this a 5-point trail by 5 points going into the second half, I think that's okay. You know, because usually when they play Indonesia, except the game in Hoops Fest, it's usually tight, and then they push out into the league, they get complacent, Indonesia comes back.
There you see how much moisture is being dealt with on the floor. I mean, it's very difficult to actually pick that up off the floor. You know, sometimes it just gets moved around. And those are the areas that are really important. Those are the areas that screens are set. Guards go pretty hard around those screens, and last thing you want to see is any Dragon or Warrior player hit the deck.
Well, that's where all the action happens, doesn't it? Basically, so.
Steve Thomas is actually going to benefit, one of the players that benefits out of this situation, as he's more of a half-court player. He needs his rest as well, getting up and down the court. So some of these breaks are actually better for players like Thomas.
Working these conditions, working into his favor. Banseno's got the ball now. Bounce pass, intercept by Thomas, and now on the fast break, Daniels has got the option of Wusong.
Smith, open shot. And again, the Dragons not rotating at all, in fact, not just not rotating in time. Sometimes you see them coming over a little slow. That time not rotating at all, and John Smith makes them pay.
Gotta isolate the shooter.
Melton to back to Melton for three. And that one's good from outside. Melton cuts it back down to single digits, 39-30 with under a minute to go in the first half.
Well, they can get the next basket, the Dragons. Psychological boost, but Indonesia, they've got some great shot. Look at Dodo Satepu in the open deep corner. He's going for the three.
That time, the Dragons doing a good job of rotating, but Indonesia with the offensive rebound. And it will be a 2-for-1 situation. Smith quickly puts it up. Wow. It is hot in this building, and he's got a hot hand as well.
Too much space in the deep corners, Paul. Dragons need to get the deuce to make this a 10-point ball game. To really use halftime to reevaluate. Melton goes into traffic. Tautua.
A nice move. Great hustle play by Mo Tautua at the last moment to be able to pick up. He lost the ball there on the baseline, but able to pick it up and cuts the lead to 10. It's 42-32 for the visiting Indonesia Warriors as the Westports Malaysia Dragons try to defend their home court. Here we are at the half on ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. It's been a great one so far. Apart from, you know, the problems that we've had on the court, so far it's been a great first half for the Indonesia Warriors.
Fantastic half from the Indonesia Warriors. They really went into second gear, Paul, and they didn't do anything spectacular. They just played to their game plan. So let's go over to Lin, who's got more insight about what's going on in this game.
All right, we've got Lenora Lin now, who's got a courtside interview for us. Lin?
Hey guys, with me is team captain and point guard Guga. Guga, what is going on with the Dragons? What are they doing wrong?
Because you can see the weather, the air conditioning is off, right? But we can see that because of the Warriors is leading and the Dragons, they didn't run their play well. You can see it, like everybody rushing for the shot and makes too many turnovers.
Okay, Ken, do you want to say anything to the fans of KL Dragons? Because you can hear the Indonesian crowd is just screaming for the Warriors every single time. Anything you want to say to the KL Dragon fans in Malaysia?
Yeah, I hope the fans keep on supporting our team because we must more louder than them because this is our home crowd. That's all.
This is our home turf, right? Well, thank you, Guga. Enjoy the game. And by the way, when are you going to come back to play?
And next game I will be back. Yeah.
Looking forward to that. Stay tuned. This is the ABL on Fox.
Welcome back to ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. We are at the half here at MABA Stadium between the Westports Malaysia Dragons and the Indonesia Warriors. The score is 42-32. Paul Palelli alongside Ben Ibrahim for this one. And let's talk about the first half a little bit. It's been a little choppy from both sides. It's really hard to take away who's the better team, except who's been shooting better, which is the Warriors, and they're up on top.
The Warriors have been shooting better, but the Warriors have also been rebounding better, Paul. If you look at the stats of the second quarter, yes, Chris Daniels, this guy is a rebounding machine. Now, the Warriors have had a total of 19 rebounds, but 10 of those rebounds coming from Daniels. And if you can see, the Dragons, they really struggle to box out, especially when Daniels is in the paint. So that's something that the Dragons have to combat in the second half. So you say that the Warriors are not that impressive. I say they're very impressive, doing the simple things right, shooting and rebounding, and that's how you win games.
Chris Daniels averaging just under 15 points and under 14 rebounds a game in the 3 games against the Dragons so far this season. Let's have a look at our first half highlights. And as you can see from the start, Chris Daniels was already very active. A lot of players hitting the deck early on, which led to some stoppages. Here you see the Warriors starting off with some hot three-point shooting.
Some very hot point. Look at John Smith. Look how much space he has there. And he knocks it down from downtown. And look at this acrobatic skills. Hands it off. And there's a foul there. Really takes a check to the shoulder there. And Marcus Hubbard just floats it. A big man floating it. Only in ABL do you see that. How good is that? John Smith. Nothing short of spectacular that you could say about this young man. 27 years of age. 6'3", averaging 11 points per game this season. And he is hot. He's like really getting down there. Can do everything. I can't stop talking about this guy. I'm his biggest fan.
There's his total package there. 14 points so far in the first half. He is 4 for 7 from outside.
And look at the slippery, well, I like to call them the slippery Joes there. Paul just plays slipping over. The Dragons, they can't really find that connectivity. They, like I said earlier in the game, they're doing everything right, setting up the play, but look at the communication there. They can't get it in the final part of the basket, and this is something that they've worked on in training all week long, and they've done it well, but Sealand, we need more of that productivity from him, because they don't have any more shooters to go to. Don't forget, Shifai, Patrick Kabahag, they're all injured, so a little bit out of their depth here, the Dragons. Marcus Hubbard just tipping it in. And Thomas.
There was that foul called against Gavin Edwards, but no player really in foul trouble here in the first half. As Thomas really asserting himself as well. He had himself 6 rebounds with just 2 points in the first half. Jared Cañada doing his part.
Chris Daniels really having a great game. And Wusong, uncontested. He was open. Dodo, open there, even though he didn't connect. So one thing that the Dragons have to do is just close out the shooters on the wing and in the deep corner.
Now, with the win here, the Dragons could close in a little further on the San Miguel Beermen for that, challenging for that second place spot. But even with a loss, they would drop down to 500, but not necessarily, you know, in an uncomfortable position. They're still fairly comfortable ahead of that 4th place in the standings.
Oh, very much so. Look, Indonesia are in control of their own destiny. Even if they lose tonight's game, they're still going to be, well, pretty much on top of the table and in control for the rest of the season, because Indonesia and San Miguel, they're showing the consistent basketball that is needed to win at this league. And many people, many fans have predicted it's going to be a repeat of last year's final, but Malaysia really believes that they can make the final. But if you ask the management team and the players, can you win the championship, they'll say, well, a big maybe with a capital M.
Something yet still to be proven. Westports Malaysia Dragons this year, they started off the season riddled with injuries, having trouble with Cedric Bozeman, and then bringing in other players to kind of fill in. And finally, they've settled in on Marcus Hubbard, a much larger player than they had started out with originally. And that changed the scheme of the Dragons lineup a little bit.
Well, last year, Paul, the Dragons, they weren't known for their defensive prowess. They conceded the highest amount of points per game, but they scored the highest amount of points against other teams. So they have said at the start of the season, we want to play two-way basketball, and we can look at the stats there. And if you look at the Indonesia Warriors, their three-point percentage, Jeff, it's 47%. And, well, you know, I'm surprised that number's not higher, because all their shooters are just hitting it, including their big man, Dodo Setepu.
Yeah, there's very little to take away from this first half, except for the fact that the turnover number is 13 for the Dragons and 10 for the Warriors. Very difficult conditions that they have to play under here at MABA Stadium. As you said, similar fate with the Dragons Heat game previously, so this is something that the Dragons have experienced before.
Now if you look at the rebound stats, Indonesia Warriors 19, Malaysia Dragons 16, and in my opinion, if the conditions were cool, not slippery, I think Indonesia would be further out in that column, because don't forget, Indonesia has a psychological advantage when it comes to rebounding, because they have absolutely punished the Dragons in all their 3 games when it comes to rebounding. So yeah, if it wasn't for the slippery conditions, Indonesia could be really dominating that statistic.
One statistic not showing up there is the points in the paint situation, in which Malaysia actually leads 12-8. So a positive to take out of that, to be able to bang inside against the likes of Thomas and Daniels.
Well, where to now, Paul? I'm going to ask you, I mean, you've covered a lot of the Friday night games. Where to now for the Dragons? What should they do?
Well,
what do they need to do?
Well, really, I think it's more of a mental challenge. I think the Dragons are really anxious to win this one, and sometimes being too anxious can make you overzealous. We're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. We've got second half action right here live from MABA Stadium on ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. You're back with us at ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. Tonight featuring the Westports Malaysia Dragons and the Indonesia Warriors. At home for the Dragons here. They are down by 10 at halftime. You're with Paul Palela and Ben Ibrahim. Let's talk a little bit about injuries here, Ben. I mean, this is not the ideal roster the Dragons would like to put against the Warriors. However, they have a few people on the bench due to injury. They have Pat Kabahag, who's out for a little while. You know, we still don't know when he's coming back. We heard from Guga earlier, who you saw has a nasty-looking gash on his forehead from the previous game, but he hopes to be back the next game as well. And also, we have Kwang Yung Jin, who's out as well. I mean, that, you know, being shorthanded against any team is tough, especially against the Warriors.
Yes, very well put there, Paul. But Kwang Yung Jin, not much of a miss because he's more of a development player. He's only 21 years of age. Coach Ariel and the management of the Dragons want to use him in the future. But guys who are really missing is Guganaswaran Batumalai, the team captain, and the second best three-point shooter in the league. His average three-point percentage this season is very impressive, 45%. So meaning he will at least hit half his three-point shots. Lo Shifai, a very young talent. Now this guy, he can step up and hit 3 points. Now in situations like this, Coach Ariel has only one option if he's going to get a tray, and that is through Sealand. But he's not the most, well, let's just say, injury-free guy, because his Achilles is giving him a lot of problems this season. So Coach Ariel and the management of the Dragons have to use him sparingly. But apart from Sealand, who else can shoot the ball on this Dragons team? If you look at the first half, Justin Melton, you would have thought, okay, you would have bet your house that he could have made those free throws. He didn't make any of his free throws, and now that's why the scoreboard is showing that the Warriors are in command.
In a lower scoring game, every point being crucial. Speaking of injuries, there is one on the other side that we haven't spoke of. The star point guard for the Indonesia Warriors has not played a single game for Indonesia all season long. Stanley Pringle is still out. He suffered an injury during preseason, and now the question is, a lot of times, everywhere the Warriors go, they're now being asked. Coach Todd Purvis is always being asked, when is Pringle coming back? And, you know, that's very difficult to say.
Well, that's very difficult to say, but it's a nice problem to have. Your star player and your player who had a great final series last season, he's going to come back and he's going to create more damage. But if you look at the Indonesia Warriors team, what do you do? Which import do you push up? Because Daniels and Thomas, they're such defensive threats. I mean, Thomas, yes, he's not the most athletic guy because of his age. He's 32 years of age, but he just floats in the paint, and he is just like a truck. Nobody, or hardly anybody, can get through him, and that's why he was Defensive Player of the Year last season.
Stan Pringle, being a Phil-Am, will have to replace either John Smith, Richard Smith, or Jared Cañada in that lineup, and that's a very difficult call. I mean, John Smith, you know, coming in this season from the Saigon Heat, playing absolutely brilliant in place of Stan Pringle. You cannot get rid of a player that's playing that well. So what do? You know, yeah. It's difficult to have a four-guard rotation as well.
What message are you trying to send your players? Okay, you know, you've had great points all season long, and I'm talking about John Smith. You've had great points all season. He's had 14 points this season. And then what do you say? But let's go over to Lenora to see who she's interviewing and what the guest has to say about this game.
Hey guys, with me is Coach Purvis for Indonesia Warriors. Coach, I think one question that everybody's asking, where is Stanley Pringle? When is he coming back?
Well, Stan's been practicing with us, but he just didn't quite have the endurance that he wants to have before he comes back, and we've been working with the doctors. I expect him back in the very near future, perhaps the next game. We'll see.
Very good. And for this game, you are leading and commanding the game. What else are you going to do for the next time?
Well, obviously, we got a lot of basketball to play. We got a whole other half, and that's a very explosive team, the KL Dragons. We really just want to continue to play good, hard defense, rebound the ball, and then be unselfish and share the ball on the offensive end.
I can see that you were doing exactly that, being unselfish. Everybody was passing the ball, and I think John Smith is doing pretty well, right?
He's hit some shots, yeah. He was due. He'd had a rough shooting night in last couple of games, but the guys have a lot of faith in him. They're always willing to make the extra pass.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the game, and all the best for it, Coach.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lynn. So, you know what? That was completely unplanned. She did mention Stan Pringle. Of course, that is a common question to be asked of Coach Purvis. Now, you know, you would think, all right, well, I guess Richard Smith would be the obvious replacement you make, but that's not the easiest choice to make either. You need that size. You know, you go up against teams like the Dragons, who's got, you know, guys in the size range of Edwards and Tautu. If you've got the Bierman, who are, you know, absolutely huge, and they've got, you know, great depth on the bench as well. So not a smart move to get rid of a big player as well.
I would not get rid of Richard Smith, especially when you're playing the San Miguel Beermen. You've got Taulava, you've got Menk, you've got Brian Williams, Justin Williams. Those guys are huge. So you need size and you need bigs to contend with. And if anything happens to Daniels and Thomas, he's cover.
A difficult decision for Coach Purvis coming up, but we now start the second half of today's game. It's 42-32 for the Indonesia Warriors, and Mario Wusong puts up a quick shot to start the second half. A couple of put-back attempts are missed by both Sitepu and Daniels, and the ball will go back to the Dragons.
The Dragons here, let's see what they can do. Drive hard to the basket, that's what they worked on. See if they can execute that right now. Marcus Hubbard open for the shot.
Hubbard again off from the baseline. John Smith gathers the miss. Mario Wusong setting up the play. Great movement off the ball by the Warriors. Sitepu hands off to Thomas, who gets tangled up with Edwards, but it will be an offensive foul. So ball will go back to Malaysia.
Now Coach Ariel Van Guardia getting very animated. He's like our third commentator, Paul.
His voice can reach our mics all the way from over there. Tautua. Ball swings back to Tautua. From the outside, Mo Tautua. The first score of the second half for the Dragons.
Mo Tautua is now on 12 points in this game. He's found consistency in his game. 21 points against Saigon, 23. A rejection!
Wow! A huge block from Edwards on the weak side. And that sets the Dragons the other way quickly. Melton for three, and just like that, the lead is down to 4.
He's much better by the Dragons, but they've got to do it for the whole game.
A quick turnaround here for the Dragons. Daniels tries to answer back, but leaves it short again. Melton on the move. He's got a mismatch against Sitepu. The pass to Edwards is cut off by Daniels, and John Smith brings it back the other way to Wusong. Inside to Daniels. Cross court. Sitepu puts it on the floor. Nice ball movement by Indonesia once again. And it will be a foul against Tautua. We can hear Coach Van Guardia telling his players, screaming at his players to let them drive.
What he means by that, Paul, let them drive, because that's something that Coach Ariel has told his players, look, you guys sometimes are a bit soft on defense. You know, just put the elbow out, be in legal guarding position, because they could be called for the charging foul. That's something that they've learned from previous games, especially against Indonesia, that they're a bit soft when they're closing out and trying to defend. So, let them drive to the basket, but once you're in their part of the basket, you drive hard. But don't drive to the basket, because Thomas will just reject you. Look for that kick out and that space for the shooter. But the problem with the Dragons, Paul, in this game, their shooters are not performing.
In just under 2 minutes, though, the Dragons able to close the gap. It was at double digits to start the second half, and it is now down to 4. 42-38 as play resumes here in the third. Sitepu inbound to Wusong. Back to Sitepu for corner three. That one's too strong. Into the hands of Edwards. Melton now pushing it the other way. The crossover by Melton. Over to the right side. Hubbard, and an outside shot. A deep corner three from Marcus Hubbard. He's hit that before. He can make that shot.
He can make that shot. He's been struggling with his shots in this game. Played a better defensive game, but they'll give him some confidence. Turnover. Here comes the Dragons. Justin Melton. He's got open space ceiling in the corner, but he goes for it himself, and he makes the basket, and the Dragons have the lead, and they're celebrating, but they need to stay calm. Coach Ariel Van Guardia is pumped up, and he's He's celebrating.
12 points unanswered to start the second half for the Westports Malaysia Dragons, and Coach Todd Purvis has seen enough. A timeout called by Indonesia as we step away. We'll be right back. This is ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. Live from MABA Stadium, if you're just joining us, the Malaysian Dragons have just made a quick turnaround in under 3 minutes, 12 unanswered to start the second half.
Well, Marcus Hubbard, Justin Melton, all the imports are just hitting shots and they're just blocking it better. And yeah, look at that play there. That's a foul on Chris Daniels, and he'll go to the line. Let's have a look at this again here. Daniels spins, and yep, there was contact by Edwards and Tautua. So we'll go for the line, and Daniels has a chance to even this up.
But as you were mentioning, you know, talking about the turnaround, the Dragons came out of halftime with a lot more intensity. Even on the defensive end, you could see Edwards just taking it hard, sending Daniels to the line. But I mean, it all started from the back-to-back-to-back threes from the Dragons.
Well, that's what happens, Paul, when you box out properly and you really get the edge over the rebounders. Look at that, not such great boxing out there.
Rule number 1, always box out the shooter. Chris Daniels grabs his own miss. Satepo misses the outside shot. Warriors have gone cold here in the second half. John Smith misses as well. And finally, the Dragons gather the rebound. It's Melton again. He's got the hot hand. He'll put it up. And finally misses one here in the second half.
Can't hit him all the time.
John Smith bringing the ball back up. It's a 1-point game now. The Dragons taking the lead. Wusong cancels it and takes a 2-point lead right back.
Well, they've just got to watch the Dragons. They've got to watch how the Warriors kick out to the wing and the deep corner. They've done it pretty much all 3 quarters, including this one. So, gotta read it. Gotta play the smart basketball ball.
Again, with less players on the bench, it's a lot easier to have a fast start, but teams tend to fade off if they have to rotate with a smaller roster, as Edwards puts it too strong off the backboard. He knows it. And the Dragons have to get back on defense. Daniels catches the deep pass. Back outside to Smith. Look out. Shot is off. Edwards secures the rebound. Melton. Across the court to Hubbard. Hubbard. One bounce. Inside to Tautua. Tautua. Too much strength, but Satepo able to get a hand on it. Again, Tautua. Tautua will take that matchup all day long, posing problems down in the post.
Tautua on 14 points. This is a great game. Paul, Wusong, great rebound. Got to get possession, and the Dragons do. And they're coming hard at it. Slipped by Marcus Hubbard. Melton.
Thomas slow to get back. This will be advantage for the Dragons. Thomas still not back. Finally gets back. And Edwards will only have Chris Daniels to contend with. Easily puts it off the glass that time. He makes no mistake.
And Coach Ariel really screaming at the Dragons fans, come on, yell our team on. We need this.
I think there's nothing that urges the team on than hearing at your home stadium, fans cheering for the visiting team, so that's got to fire you up a little bit.
Yeah, well, you must credit the Indonesia fans for coming to make fast pass. Gavin Edwards there just bumps and then just drops it in. Good technique there, not too aggressive, not too hard. Playing smart. But we just go over to Lenora, who's got more news for us. Over to you, Lynn.
Just now, I just saw Coach Purvis. He was doing something with his fingers. It looked like 3 fingers were going out. I don't know what that means. It could either mean that they're going to keep on going for 3 points, or it could be going for the small forward. I'm not too sure. Let you guys think about it. Back to you.
Thank you, Lynn. We have not deciphered the secret hand signals from Coach Todd Purvis yet, but we will let you know as soon as we find out. But right now, it's Malaysia with the momentum here in the 3rd quarter, and their home crowd is just getting behind them.
Well, that's commentator homework for you, me, and Sean Farquhar, and all the other ABL commentators. What does 3 fingers mean? 3 seconds? We'll soon find out. We'll ask Coach Todd Purvis at the end, but John Smith, he looks to Mario Wusong, working on the red. Daniels gets the foul.
And the Dragons not giving up any easy baskets on the inside, as Daniels will once again head to the line after a nice pass inside. Speaking of nice passing, it was some great ball movement by the Dragons here in the 2nd that we did not see in the 1st half, which has led to some good scoring for them.
I must credit the Indonesia Warriors, Paul. Even under pressure, they really just stick to their game plan, making that pass on the wing, in the deep corners, so that the shooters can make those baskets. But one thing that has really let the Dragons back in is that their shooters have not connected this quarter consistently as compared to the 2nd quarter.
So the opposite now happening from what was taking place in the 1st half. And now you see, let's have a look now. It's when the dust has settled, and Daniels will be shooting free throws. He's got Sitepu, Thomas, John Smith, and Jared Cañada. For the Dragons, it's Hubbard, Edwards, John Ung, Julius Armand, and Mouse Melton, the man, bringing them back here in the 2nd half. Misses the 2nd. Warriors down by 1. Halfway, more than halfway gone here in the 3rd quarter. Melton again. He's got Edwards with him. Thomas all over him. Gets it back to Melton for 3. That time he leaves it short. Thomas with the rebound. It's poked out by Edwards, but they'll call a reaching foul on him. He can't believe it. And Edwards goes to... Hey, he's got to hold back Coach Vanguardia.
Coach Ariel Vanguardia losing it. Now, Coach is one of the more animated characters or coaches in the league, but I think he's just really wants to beat the Indonesia Warriors. And he had a very good view of that foul. And he's now complaining to the commissioner's table. He's got to back off. He's just got to back off right now because he could be in a lot more trouble. Jared Cañada is going to go for 2 shots, technical foul, and they will have the ball back. So you don't want to spoil all the good work that the Dragons have done just because of a bit of indiscipline, and Cañada connects the 1st shot.
We've seen this several times around the league where head coaches have had a hand in putting a stop to their own run. The Dragons opened up this half with a 12-0 scoring run, and now, before those free throws, had taken a 1-point lead, but Coach Vanguardia called it technical, and now Indonesia has a chance to stretch it back. They lead it by 1. Sitepu. And Aaron passed by Sitepu, and now a lot of miscommunications from Indonesia. Things falling apart a little bit offensively here for the Warriors.
Well, the heat is really on here, literally, Paul. And both teams really want the win. Who can stick on Marcus Hubbard, posting up spins. A bit unlucky there, ball rims out. Julius Armand now back in the court. to give the Dragons a bit more speed.
John Smith drives the lane and he's blocked by Gavin Edwards. A huge rejection, sending it out of bounds, and defense, a big part of Gavin Edwards' game lately.
Very much so. At the start of the season, Gavin Edwards was not playing that defensive game, but he's really come into it. Quite a joy to watch this player. He used to play for UConn. Dodo for the three, and he gets it.
Ronaldo Sitepu, he likes that spot from the corner. And right now, Indonesia trying to put a stop to the home side momentum. Armand for three. It's a shootout here at MABA Stadium.
It is a shootout, and Julius Armand will be very fired up because he didn't score any points against Thailand 9 days ago, and now he's on the board. His average field goal percentage is 14%, but he's only been with this team for 3 weeks.
Indonesia unable to get things going on that sequence, and look out, Armand quickly down on the other end. Melton follows up his miss, and Edwards with a third chance is fouled from behind, and that will send him to the line.
Now that's a fair foul. That's a foul that you can't argue with. No questions asked.
One man that won't be arguing that foul is Coach Vanguardia, that's for sure. Gavin Edwards is a decent, I see decent for a big man in around this league, and hovering around 60% from the free throw line as we see that foul from behind by Daniels. And now we're really starting to hear it from the home crowd getting behind the Dragons.
Look at that fan all the way. Did someone turn up the AC? It's going to be, hopefully the game stays this way, Paul. Really close, really tight. And what a fourth quarter we have.
We're under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Second miss by Gavin Edwards puts us deadlocked at 52. Jared Cañada, bounce pass inside to Daniels. Thomas fights, but cannot get it to go. Rebound Armand, and again the Dragons are pushing the tempo. Armand, he backs down Smith. Hubbard with the open shot. Look out! Hubbard is on fire.
Marcus Hubbard really struggled in the first half, but played a great game defensively in the first quarter. He was getting 8 rebounds, but now he is the man. All that hard work of shooting, extra practice after training is really paying off. Don't forget, this man has played 3 games in the NBA. Look at that, with the LA Clippers, and he clips that in. And yes, the Dragons have the lead, but don't sit on this lead, Dragons, because this team now have Amin Priantono on the floor, and he can hit those threes too. Mario Wusong has the choice, fakes it.
Mario Wusong with an open jumper after the pump fake. And again, it's back and forth. Hubbard again from outside, misses badly, but tipped by Armand into the hands of Melton. Mouse drives to the hole. The foul is called before the shot. Now, if you look at the scouting report, 3-point shooting is definitely not out there for Marcus Hubbard, as we see the foul there long before he picked up his dribble. But, you know, Marcus Hubbard did this a couple of games ago right here against the Slingers. He hit 2 for 4 from outside. So once he gets a shot going, he can get pretty streaky at times.
Definitely.
The inbound pass set to go John Ung. Gavin Edwards. Ung takes the screen from Edwards, and the outside shot misses. And now plenty of offensive rebounds for the Dragons, and plenty of second and third shot opportunities. That pass is almost cut off by Wusong. Melton drives all the way uncontested over Steve Thomas. Wusong the other way, and answers back with a tray.
The Dragons have to be, I've said this so many times, Paul, I feel like a broken record. Once they get it down, the deep corner, protect the deep corner. 11 Edwards hesitates, drives to the basket.
Once again, a little Little friendly jawing there between Mario Wusong and Julius Armand as Gavin Edwards heads back to the line. Again, that was a lot of scoring taking place here in the third quarter to tie this game at 57. We are just over a minute remaining in the third, so we're headed for an exciting finish here, Ben.
You know what, this is one of, even though a low scoring game, Paul, this is one of the best games I've seen this season. And full credit to both teams, just really pulling their socks up despite the hot and wet conditions because of the sweat and perspiration. They just get on with it and go for it.
The Dragons adjusting really well at halftime, coming out of the break with a completely different mindset, and now they hold on to a 2-point lead. This is Jarek Cañada. Cañada puts it up. He misses, and Dragons with the rebound. Melton to Armand. Hubbard for three. He misses, and Wusong on the fast break. He's going to pull up for a transition three. That misses as we throw it to Lenore Lau for another report.
Hey guys, okay, just a quick foul report for you. I know the game is going crazy over here, but Gavin and Walatatua, they really need to watch out for the fouls because they got 3 down. Whereas for the Indonesia Warriors, they got 7 people with fouls. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lynn. And yes, foul trouble can be a problem for the Dragons considering they're slightly short-handed as opposed to the Indonesia Warriors. So, with just about half a minute remaining in the third quarter, the Warriors find themselves down by 2 with Amin Priantono at the line.
And you would expect Amin Priantono to make these 2 shots. He doesn't play a lot of game time, but he's more of a 6-man. I've seen him this season, Paul, and I'm sure you can attest to this. When he comes on, he can really, really make an impact shooting-wise.
He was a great local player for the Warriors last season. This season, however, it's been Sitepu that's really stepped up. Sitepu only joined the Warriors late in the season last year, around playoff time. And now, Amin Priantono, you're right, Ben, locked it up at 59. And this is now head-to-head with less than half a minute remaining in the third. Edwards up high to the right side. Melton's got it. Melton gets a screen from Edwards. Lobs it inside. Hubbard powers his way in for 2. And one last play for the Warriors. With 2 points down, Amin Priantono gets it. He puts it up, and off-balance shot. Smith gets the rebound, and a missed second opportunity will do it for the third quarter. And after being down by double digits for most of the game, the Malaysia Dragons come storming back here in the third. This is ABL Friday Basketball. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with fourth quarter action right after this. An exciting third quarter here we just witnessed at MABA Stadium. We are back at ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. Paul Pelelli, Ben Ibrahim, Lenora Lau on hand for this exciting matchup, and it has been a huge third quarter for the Dragons.
Well, it has been a huge quarter for the Dragons. Also, what helped the Dragons' cause is that the Warriors could not be, well, they weren't very consistent in hitting their shots. So, yep, they took advantage and they really went for it. And guys like Marcus Hubbard, Justin Melton, Sealand were hitting the trays to give them the lead, but it's only 2 points, Paul, and anything can happen. Don't forget, both teams very tired because of this heat, but both teams really, really want to win. Who is the hungrier team? That question is going to be answered this quarter.
With a win here, the Dragons will inch that much closer to the second place San Miguel Beermen, who also show no signs of slowing down. So basically, the top 3 teams right now in the standings are the 3 hottest teams in the league.
Top 3, yeah. I mean, the Dragons, they really, really don't want to make that mistake last season when they were sitting nicely in 3rd spot and they were going to play the Asia Patriots. And then all of a sudden, Singapore came to town and Donald Dulé, he just had a 3-point fest and really took the Dragons to the sword on their home court. And that bumped them down to 4th place. And if you do want to follow us on Facebook on the ASEAN Basketball League, just go to www.facebook.com/ASEAN Basketball League. one word, and you can get all the stats, player profiles, and it is a website that we commentators love.
Yeah, you can catch all of the action and live statistics, our live stream as well on youtube.com/ABL, and follow our Twitter as well at ABL News to get all the updates. They're always going on in and around the league. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 games going on at once, so you can keep up with that and keep up with the Facebook page, official KL Dragons, and also at KL Dragons to follow their Twitter. And in that, so far up to this point, 14 points for 3 players. Edwards, Tautua, sorry, that's Melton, Hubbard, and Tautua for the Dragons. Wow.
And John Smith still sitting on 14 points, and Chris Daniels, the star of the Indonesia Warriors, 11 points, and he's got 13 rebounds, Paul. And the game's about to start. The stats are coming in thick and hard. 61-59. Who's got this one? Who's got the stronger test? Sealand for the 3.
4th quarter underway, and that starts off with a one-pass, one-touch three-pointer from really deep, about 4 feet outside the three-point line for Sealand. And Mario Wusang trying to answer back. A little confused about that quick shot right away, but hey, no argument from the Dragons.
Marcus Hubbard has the opportunity now, but he goes posting up on the big fella, big fella on big fella. He goes in, unselfish, but couldn't quite execute it. And now the Indonesia Warriors in transition. Sven Derita on the floor. This guy, he hasn't seen much minutes this game. Wusong. And there's a bit of a check there on Smith. Slippery.
So to start the 4th quarter, Sealand hitting a 3 to stretch the lead to 5. And coming into the 4th quarter, it has been all Dragons in the paint. They have winning the rebounding battle 31 to 30 and outscoring the Warriors in the paint 20 to 6. 20 to 8 rather. So that's a rather important number there for the Dragons controlling the inside game. It's the Warriors back on offense. Nice ball movement by Indonesia, getting it back to John Smith and leaves it short. Tries to chase down his own rebound, but Hubbard secures it. Tautua now in the open court. He's got Daniels in front of him, and the Dragons set it back up. Melton.
Dragons just trying to slow it down a little bit. But I think it's a bit early to slow things down. Marcus Hubbard open there, but he's going to take it. Oh, he missed that completely. You need to hit shots, and you need to hit them now.
A miss by Marcus Hubbard leads to an offensive set by the Indonesia Warriors, and once again, the Warriors will head to the free throw line, and that maybe be a fourth foul. I believe it is.
Coach Ariel, he's got to keep quiet now. Oh, fourth foul. Okay, now.
So there's a set of free throws coming up for Steve Thomas. Making good on his first. The Dragons will have the Warriors again once more this month at the end of April. That one will be played away in Indonesia. We've got a live report with Lenora Lau. Take it away, Lynn.
Coach Purvis understands that it's real hard for both teams to play, especially in these hazardous conditions, the floor being wet. But he said they will stick to their original game plan, good defense and good rebounding. On another note, he was very surprised at how loud the Indonesian fans are here at MABA. Even saw him sneak a smile just now as the fans cheered. They are putting a real good cheering battle with the Malaysian fans. On one more note, Mo really needs to watch out. He's now got 4 fouls. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lynn. And always a fun neighboring rivalry between Malaysia and Indonesia. A lot of fans coming out for this one as Melton misses the jumper, rebounded by Daniels. Indonesia find themselves down by 1 possession. Kanyada, nowhere to go. He puts it up and rattles one in.
He had open space there, so a very smart move by Jared Kanyada to bring the Warriors within 1 point of the Westports Malaysia Dragons, the home team. Now the Dragons had control.
Julius Armand, and he drains one over Kanyada, right back in your face. So back and forth scoring continues here in the 4th quarter. Kanyada putting up another one. That one's too long. It rattles around a little bit and into the hands of Daniels. Daniels puts it away easily, uncontested.
It's really hard to box out against Chris Daniels and Steve Thomas.
Justin Melton stops and pops and misses, but Hubbard is there for the rebound. He misses the putback, but the Dragons have it back. Edwards now down the lane. No defense whatsoever from Steve Thomas as Edwards just lays it in with his right hand.
Well, the Indonesia Warriors, they just stood still there. They just froze a bit and said, nah, he's not going to go for it. He's going to pass. But you can't hesitate. And they did the same thing. The Dragons, that is, to Jared Kanyada. They're giving too much space. He changing several times here. Spin.
And an errant pass now coming from Steve Thomas on the block. Normally a very good passer out of the post. That one going out of bounds into the Indonesian bench. Armand has it on the point. That frees up Melton at the 2 spot, and a foul is called off the ball. It will be on Jared Kanyada. His first of the game. And the Dragons have it back with just over 10 seconds on the shot clock. Melton to Armand for 3. He's fouled on the shot. The shot almost goes down. That would have been a 4-point play, but right now he heads to the line for 3 free throws.
3-point opportunity here for the Dragons, Paul, and they're pumped up, but they can't get too excited because don't forget, on the clock, 6:20. What Coach Ariel will try to do now is to wind it down to the 4-minute mark, and then he can bring back Moala Tautua, who's on 4 fouls. I must say, Paul, that the Dragons, don't forget, this team is a team that's very heavily reliant on their bigs. That's their part of their game plan and their strategy. Get it to the elbow. Get it to the deep corner for the bigs. Get it to the low post. And they need to execute that into the bigs. Let's look at it here. Yeah, whoa, that's a body check by Mario Wusong. Don't think that was intentional.
So 3 shots coming up for Julius Armand, who has a chance to push the lead to 6. This is his first. Armand in just his 4th game with the Dragons, finding his flow a little bit here in the second half rather. Second is good, and with 1 free throw coming up, and a chance to break the 70-point mark.
Don't forget, this guy is a swingman, Paul. He's not really used to certain positions, but he did tell me once, I'd rather play at shooting guard. He just needs minutes. He's a great young guy, great athlete. You tell him anything, oh, he just will respond with, yes, sir, what do I do, sir? Yes, sir, what do I do, sir? So not an argumentative type, but he just loves playing basketball, very competitive, takes training or scrimmages and training very, very seriously.
And of course, with the age 23 comes a lot of energy as well, something the Dragons need with a short-handed roster. And Armand giving them some valuable minutes right now. The Dragons have won 5 straight here at home, so they will try to make it 6 in front of their home crowd.
But don't forget, Indonesia was the one that beat them here by 6 points in late January, after Stephen Demon Thomas rejected Lo Shifa in the dying seconds in Indonesia. And Indonesia hung on for that game to win by 1 point. And Cedric Boseman, who's still playing for the Westports Malaysia Dragons, he's now on the plane, well, he's now back in California, trying to get a second opinion on his knee.
A huge loss for the Dragons. Cedric Boseman having a great start to the 2013 season. And Julius Armand 1 for 3 from the line there, so not able to capitalize on the 3 fouls, 3 shooting fouls. And John Smith quickly down the floor, too hard off the backboard. Melton will push it up the floor. Look out, he's got Hubbard, and Hubbard is grabbed from behind by Amin. We'll see if the ref calls that a flagrant. It is just a foul, a shooting foul, but it looks like Hubbard was knocked in the face, obviously inadvertently from behind. Amin not able to get in front of Hubbard. Hubbard having an easy shot there otherwise. Very difficult to say, to judge the Indonesia Warriors on their home and away, performances, considering they're actually a better away team. At 7-1 for the season. We've got more insight on the game with Lenore Lau.
Right next to Marcus here at the bench, his lip is bleeding a little. Doesn't look too serious, but I'll get back to you with more updates. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Lynn. So hopefully Hubbard will be all right.
Look at this, Paul. Dragons really, this is the time that you really need to take the points that are given to you. Someone's going to give you points, take it. Easier said than done. Well, Johnny Ong gives them a 5-point lead, 6 minutes to go. But I still would not write off this Indonesia Warriors team on winning this game.
Still anyone's game here with 6 to go. And Mario Wusong puts one up from beyond the arc and knocks it down. The lead is cut back to 2, courtesy of Super Mario. Justin Melton back on the point, and a whistle is blown. And that's going to be just a stoppage of play to dry up a wet spot before the offensive set begins.
Marcus Hubbard now back in the game. Lynn said he had a bit of a fat lip, but he's now back in, and he's having some words with Chris Daniels, saying, hey man, that's a bit rough.
He should be saying it to Priantono, but nevertheless, he's now got Daniels on him. Priantono has got Tautua on the matchup. Tautua back in the game with 4 fouls. And, this is the matchup I've been talking about. Tautua having a great game, although he's has 4 fouls. A very difficult guard for Indonesia. Now, Melton over to Seelan. Seelan takes the outside shot, and that's way left. And into the hands of the Warriors. Pushing it up the floor again. Wusong all the way to the hole. Leaves it short. And Priantono comes up with the loose ball. Indonesia with another crack at it. And this time, Steve Thomas gets fouled. So once again, Steve Thomas will go to the line. We'll see who that foul is charged against.
Great hustle there by both teams. So that's the way to play it. Really tough to hang on to these ball in these conditions. Let's see if the big man, not renowned for his free throw shooting, but he makes it. And this is what I said, Paul. Making shots when the opportunity is given to you, when the opportunity presents itself.
They are called free throws for a reason. And Steve Thomas takes his second and ties the game at 70. We've got a great one here, Ben. It's 70-70. All tied up here in the fourth quarter, halfway through. Edwards. Thomas in his face. Hands off to Melton. Melton with the mismatch. He's got Priantono. He can out-dribble him. Gets it to Edwards for the long shot is off the mark. And into the hands of Steve Thomas. Wusong playing at the 2 spot now, which makes him a even better shooter. And now swinging it to Priantono. Priantono almost loses it. We're going to give you another update from Lenora Lau. Let's take it away.
If you're wondering what happened just now with Marcus, apparently Steve Thomas's fist met with Hubbard's lips, and the fouls are increasing bit by bit. Hubbard is now already at 3, and Indonesia Warriors now have 8 people with fouls. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lynn. And there, Edwards gets fouled on the putback attempt. So now you see this game really tightening down, clamping down defensively. Neither team wanting to give the edge as we take a break on the floor. We will step away for a moment, but an exciting fourth quarter here at MABA Stadium. You won't want to miss the tail end of it right here on ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. An exciting fourth quarter here, live from MABA Stadium. You're watching ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports with Paul Palelli, Ben Ibrahim, and Lenora Lau. We are on hand for a great one. This one started off with the Warriors in the driver's seat for the entire first half, taking a 10-point lead to the halftime break. Then in the third quarter, it was all Malaysia. They opened up with a 12-0 run, and now it's deadlocked at 70.
Couldn't go for a better game. Gavin Edwards gives the Dragons back the lead. One thing after this free throw, got to be careful that Indonesia will come back, just go for the shots. But the Dragons, when they're in their defensive zone, need to close out a lot better. 2-point lead. Coach Ariel Bangkwade is saying to the fans, come on, I need you, we need this win.
Malaysia looking for their first win of the season against their neighboring rivals, the Indonesia Warriors. And defensively, they have turned up the heat right here at MABA Stadium. John Smith to Wusong in the corner. He's got Hubbard on him. There's a mismatch. Over back to Smith. Dragons tightening up the defense. Daniels has no look, gives it up to Smith. Saltua grabs the rebound off the miss. And here comes Melton. Fouled on the drive and the basket, and he's going to the line for an extra.
He gets the hoop and he gets the harm. Momentum with the Westports Malaysia Dragons, but still plenty of time here at MABA Stadium. Look at Melton, just goes and yep, off balance, but shoots. Great composure by this young man that you keep calling the Mouse, because he is like Mighty Mouse.
He is playing like Mighty Mouse tonight, and you know, there's two great players with great footwork right there. one trying to get in front of him for the charge. So a good call by the ref. These calls are really hard to make. We have the we have the luxury of replay, whereas the officials have to make the call right there on the floor. And Melton quicker to get to the spot that time.
Calling it on the spot. It's a tough job, and he makes it.
Huge three-point play by Justin Melton. And now the Dragons have the 5-point lead back. Kanyada handing off to Wusong. No-look pass inside, a dangerous no-look pass. And Melton again pushing it up the floor. That time he misses, and Thomas has it tipped away, but Daniel secures it. Warriors playing a dangerous game, but look at Gavin Edwards pulling up a little bit on the way back. Seems to have, something seems to be bothering him, but play resumes, and behind the back pass, for the corner shot, John Smith silences the crowd momentarily with the three.
Good shot by John Smith. Using his strengths to your advantage, that's what you need to do in tight situations.
Now Hubbard, cross court to Seelan. Seelan with a hot hand earlier, misses that shot. Wusong grabs the miss. And it's Kanyada, in and out dribble, outside to Wusong. Shows it, puts it up, and leaves it short. A battle for it out of bounds. And possession will remain at this end. Everybody just pointing every which way, but the play has now been changed. The call has now been changed by the sideline ref. And it will be last touch by Indonesia. So the ball will go back to the hands of the Dragons.
This is great stuff, Paul. I love this. This is why we love ABL season 2013. Justin Melton calling for the horns, calling for the pick and roll. Sautua being bumped. Melton has the opportunity. Oh, so close. Thought that was going in.
Melton misses the outside shot, so it remains a 2-point lead. And now time is becoming a factor. Under 2.5 minutes remaining in just a 2-point game. Daniels, inside outside to Wusong for three, and the Warriors have the lead back.
Wow. Dragons got to get the next shot. They've just got to get the next shot. Don't go for the tray. Don't go from downtown. Just get in the post and hit it.
Melton to Tautua. He's got John Smith, an easy matchup for him, and puts back his own miss over a much smaller John Smith. Great move by Mo Tautua. Kanyada. And Indonesia Warriors still down by one. Daniels takes the short jumper. It's off the mark. Ball is tipped by Hubbard. And the Dragons have it back. And hanging on to a 1-point lead with 1.5 minutes remaining. We are headed for an awesome finish here as we take another break. This one will also be a pause on the floor due to a wet spot, so no call by the officials. You know, now at this point of the game, everything counts. I mean, you have to dry up every spot on the floor because, you know, it's come down to this. It's half, you know, it's half a possession right now. 77 to 76 with 1 minute 31 seconds to go. Both teams are going to head to their benches as the floor continues to be worked on. And right now, what have the Dragons got to do to close out the Warriors?
Well, basically, like I said at the start of the game, which they haven't done so well, work it to the bigs in the post. Now, we see this Indonesia side very, very good at closing out and going into a very solid defensive zone. But let's have a listen to what the coaches are saying to their teams now as the Dragons.
Now you hear Mario Wusong leading his troops.
Yes. Right, so if you see him cheat over, skip back to the guy who's headed to the three.
So the Indonesia Warriors, we caught the tail end of that. We may have deciphered what Lynn's hand signal meant as Coach Todd Purvis was at the end there talking about a skip pass to set up their three-point shot. So the Indonesia Warriors trying to shoot their way back into this.
You got the three-point shooters on the floor now. You got John Smith, you got Mario Wusong, Jared Kanyada on. Thought they would go with Sutepu. He's quite handy from the three-point line as well. But right now the Dragons just need a deuce. Just get 2 points and just try to get the rebound and close the game out slowly. Slow it down.
Justin Melton now begins the set and tries to bounce it through traffic, but Steve Thomas gets his huge paws on it and no letting go after that. Now it's in the hands of Wusong. Hands off. They've got the 3 guards in there. Wusong puts it up and Thomas deep for the rebound, and it's blocked by Gavin Edwards. What a great defensive play by Gavin. Dragons under 1 minute to go with a 1-point lead. Sealan to Melton, inside to Tautua, almost loses the handle on the pass. Backs in Smith. Nice ball movement by the Dragons. With 5 seconds, he'll have to put this up. A foul. Oh my goodness, count the basket and 1. The crowd is going wild.
He gets the hoop and the horn. We said that a few times tonight, and that's more in the favor of the home team, the Westports Malaysia Dragons. Coach Todd Purvis going absolutely ape-nut at the moment to the referees.
Yeah, what Coach Purvis is saying is, if that's a foul, then it was a foul on the other end as well, but Gavin Edwards had a pretty clean block there on Steve Thomas earlier on the previous sequence, and now there's going to be another timeout called on the floor. You're going to see plenty of these in a tight basketball game in the last minute. The last minute can really stretch out. We're just under 44 seconds, and the Dragons have a chance with a made free throw. Will push it to a 2-possession lead, and that makes it really important.
Very important, because then again, Indonesia have to go to their shooters. They have to go to Wusong. They have to go to John Smith to hit the 3 points. And the Dragons, they know all too well. They've studied this Indonesia team over the last couple of weeks, even though they've played other teams. They know who their shooters are, so they're going to really try to close them out when they go into their defensive zone. But first things first, Paul, you need to hit the free throw.
Well, with a made free throw, the Indonesia Warriors will have the option of going for a quick 2 and stopping play, because a 3 would not even tie it anyway. So that is exactly what Edwards needs to do to put this a little bit farther out of reach. I'm sure that's exactly what the Warriors are thinking as well. Off a miss, they will try to tie it with a 3, because they've got their 3 guards in there. Although Sutepu's not in there, Kanyada has come into his own lately from beyond the arc. And clutch time, it could be any of these 3 guards.
Surprising that Coach Ariel is going with Setya Silan Kupusami. Julius Armon has played a good 3-point game tonight, and he's got speed. He's a bit more athletic.
Edwards makes good, and now it's a 2-possession lead for the Westports Malaysia Dragons, trying to win their first over the Warriors this season. Daniels outside to Smith. Smith misses, but Daniels taps it out. A second chance for Indonesia, and Mario Wusong with the dagger and pulls them back within 1. We have got an amazing finish coming up.
They're just going to slow the ball down. They've got 16 seconds left on the shot clock. They're just going to try to wind it down. Get the pace and the space. Hubbard open. Sealan open. Gavin Edwards open.
Under 10 seconds remaining. 4 on the shot clock. Hubbard will have to put it up. A wild shot. Barely misses. Gavin Edwards is there for the rebound. The whistle is blown, and that will do it. There is a hand up. The official has a hand up. I'm trying to confirm, to make sure what it is before we call it, but I believe that is it. 80 to 79 shows on the scoreboard right now.
Oh, I think Indonesia have a case. It looked like the ball was still in play. Shot clock violation, and it should have been an Indonesia Warriors ball, at least. And they have a case.
You're right, Ben. That is exactly what they're discussing right now, but fans and the whole entire team is pouring out onto the floor. So as it stands right now, unless they review it, it's 80 to 79 get it to our Lenora Lau for a quick interview. But before that, we've got to make sure this is 80-79. I mean, it couldn't be any closer than this.
Couldn't be any closer than this, but I feel for the Indonesia Warriors, Paul. They have a case, even though they're celebrating like, you know, they've won the championship, and they have a case.
All right, we now have Lenora Lau, who's with the winning coach, Errol Van Guardia.
Okay. Hey guys, this is how you celebrate. And coach, I want to ask you, I know you're really happy at this moment, but what's going through your mind? What's going through your mind?
This one is for Dr. Robin Tan. It's his birthday. We promised him a victory and we give the victory. But first half we weren't making our shots. They were making everything. I just told the guys, they cannot outshoot us in our gym. Even I can make those threes. So I just thank the Lord for this W. Maybe that to Robin birthday. That's why we won. But again, I'm happy right now, but we're still in number 3 and we're gonna face this amazing champion team. They're well coached, they're deep, they got Steve Thomas. So we're just gonna enjoy this tonight at Brussels and tomorrow go back to practice.
Yes, because you have a very tough game. San Miguel Beerman is coming on next, right?
Yeah, it's a homecoming from me. I'd like to say hi to my daughter there in Manila. It's a away home game for me. My mom will be there, so I'm just gonna enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Coach. Congratulations. Go celebrate with your team. Guys, stay with us. We're going for a short break. ABL on Fox.
A great finish here at MABA Stadium for ABL Friday basketball on Fox Sports, where the home side, Westports Malaysia Dragons, have just taken a win over the first place team, Indonesia Warriors. A very slim victory, 80-79. We've got Lenora Lau, who's got our player of the game. Before that, though, want to talk a little bit about what this does for the Warriors. And, you know, with 5 games on a 5-game winning streak, this puts a halt to that. And right now, the Beermen have got the momentum.
Well, yeah, the Beermen have the momentum. And don't forget, the Beermen play the Westports Malaysia Dragons next Friday night for Friday Night Basketball live on Fox Sports. And that is going to be another cruncher, because these two teams, San Miguel, don't forget, Paul, at the middle of the season, Coach Errol Van Guardia brought all his players into training once. I was very fortunate to be there, and he said to his players, I designed this Westports Malaysia team, season 2013, specifically with the bigs in mind, to defeat the San Miguel Beermen. So Coach Errol Van Guardia going on a little bit of a personal vendetta. He wants to beat the Indonesia Warriors because he feels that, you know, they should have defeated them early in the season, but now he's got to, you know, make that talk count and go for another victory against a very good team next Friday night. And Indonesia, they'll feel a little disappointed, a little bit jibbed that they did not get the ball in the dying seconds.
A well-earned, emotional victory there for Coach Van Guardia. And after this, the Indonesia Warriors will take a 12-day break. And after that, they will face the Saigon Heat and then take on the Dragons once again. So it's going to be an interesting finish to the month, where these two teams are going to meet up again on the 26th of April. That game will take place in Indonesia in Palembang. So now we'll go to our player of the game, Justin Melton, who's with Lynn.
Hey guys, Justin Melton, you have 17 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. That's why you are player of the game. How are you feeling after this amazing win?
I feel good, man. The points are great and all, but it was definitely a team effort. Got a couple guys coming off the bench, hit some big shots. We knocked down our free throws in the stretch. I think that was important, so it was definitely a team effort. So
I gotta say, you are like a real dragon, because you just drive in there, especially in the post area against all those big players. What's going through your mind when that happens?
Coach told me to attack the rim all week. He was saying attack, attack, attack. It's all right if you get blocked. It's all right, you know, if you get hit, but be aggressive, stay aggressive. So
I know you're going to celebrate tonight, but you are going to face San Miguel Beerman after this. Who's the one player you're going to look out for the most?
Oh, Benchero. I got a bone to pick, so yeah, we're going to go at it. So.
Thank you very much. Once again, 17 points, 12 assists, and 12 rebounds and 6 assists. This is your player of the game. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lynn. And let's head to our full-time stats. There's the final score, 80-79, and the field goal percentage much higher for the Dragons at 40% from the field. And, you know, shooting from three-point line, the Indonesia Warriors were 16 for 37. However, the Dragons countered that with 13 for 31 shooting.
Well read there, Paul, but if you look at the stat, the stat that really, well, changed the dynamics of this game is the turnovers. 19 turnovers for the Indonesia Warriors to 18. Not because both teams were not very good or not, well, bad. It's just because of the slippery conditions, and both teams had to adjust to those conditions. Now, both teams will really take a lot out of this game if they have to play in similar conditions. This is the game plan that they have to play in, and experience really counts in this one, Paul.
The rebounding number is 45-41. However, the Dragons winning the war inside the paint at 26-12. We'll now have a look at our RHB play of the day. And this one comes to us from the Dragons. Justin Melton, the player of the game, gets hit, takes the bump, makes the basket and gets the foul.
Off-balance shot. Let's have a look at the slow motion. Yep, John Smith really throws him off balance, but he maintains composure and just shoots it in, and the ball rims around, and it goes in. Moral Tautua going in for the rush-in, and I must say, a better rebounding effort from the Dragons and the Warriors. They showed us tonight, even though they went down, they showed us tonight how to shoot.
Let's have a look at the upcoming games around the ABL. This week, it's going to be a busy week for the San Miguel Beermen. They take on the Singapore Slingers at home on the 13th, and 4 days later, they head to Tonbin Stadium to meet the Saigon Heat. And then the game we talked about on April 19th, next Friday, San Miguel Beermen will face the Westports Malaysia Dragons, but that will take place at Yunara Sports Arena. That's going to be a difficult arena to win a game in.
Well, that game I'm really looking forward to. It's the Battle of the Pigs, and it's going to be another close one right here on Fox Sports, Paul.
Once again, 80-79, the final score for the Westports Malaysia Dragons over the Indonesia Warriors. And that's going to do it for us today. On behalf of Lenora Lau, Ben Ibrahim, I'm Paul Pilelli, and we'll see you next time on ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports.